The Gambia is one of a small number of countries around the world that does not have a national theater. The Gambia used to boast a national theater or national troupe in the past, but that is non-existent now. The national troupe used to showcase the country's culture through its musical performances, both at home and abroad, and to much acclaimed. But the one thing that has been missing is a national theater where such performances could be held, and at a time when there is a proliferation of artists in various genres, now the need for one has become even more compelling. Yahya Jammeh has been talking to concerned stakeholders about how important the establishment of a national theater could be in changing the careers of artists in the country.
The building of a national theatre in the Gambia has the potential to empower artists and craft people to make world-class productions and could also help in arousing young talents in the performing arts industry, create employment and boost the country's economy. Hassim Cisse is the Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture.
A national theatre is urgently needed. Okay, our artists need it. It will help in the growth of Gambian arts and culture. It will nurture talent. It will promote tourism. It will promote, a Gambian national identity.
Many young artists nowadays want more independence in their careers, but this is seriously hampered when they have to rent private space to showcase their work. And for young Chernogay, having just a platform to perform will mean a lot to artists.
But a national theater would create that one platform where it will be easier for young people to climb. The struggle would be minimal. If we had a national theater, for example, the first poetry album launch that I did would have been easier for me to do something like that because there would have been a structure in place to help and support me do that. You don't have to give me money, no. I just need the resources that are required to have a successful event. And you can support me with that without writing me a check.
One of Gambia's more recognized faces in the performance world was Mariam Okoli. She won accolades both nationally and internationally and says the establishment of a national theatre will boost the confidence and creativity of actors in the industry.
The people within the arts sector are so many. You cannot even measure it. And we have a bunch of talented people in this country whose works are not recognized. Maybe it's because they don't have the financial means to put out the plays and the performances that they want. So if we have the National Theatre, that will help them to have a space where they can constantly put up shows or plays, where people can come and see what they do. And of course, it will be easier also to support them. And internationally, it will also stand out for Gambia. When we have tourists come in the Gambia, we have something to show them. We would tell them, look, we have the National Theatre of the Gambia. And the theatre can collaborate with other theatres outside the Gambia to build and support us.
The Gambia's Tourism and Culture Minister Ahmad Nkeba recently admitted failure for not just being unable to preserve the country's cultural heritage sites, but said he feels guilty for not providing the country with a national theatre.
It's a shame. It's a shame. We don't even have a national theatre. We have endeavored to allocate them a land, a huge land. Now we need to get the funds to have a national theatre and to have a national troupe.
Meanwhile, the industry has been pointing fingers at the National Center for Arts and Culture for not doing what is expected to do in terms of supporting the industry and others. But the NCAC boss reiterates the minister's statement that there is already land allocated for the construction of National Theatre.
There's a lot of effort being done to facilitate a national theatre. We have earmarked a piece of land for this, at the Burfoot Heights. But it is a project that is a heavy investment. So now that the land has been procured, what is left is basically to work on the infrastructure itself. And I'm sure that the relevant people in government will take it up, for example, with our international partners.
But building of a structure alone for some stakeholders, such as Mariam Kali, is just one aspect, and the other is having the right people to manage and sustain it. Otherwise, she says, the whole purpose of building a national theater might be defeated.
My only concern is it's one thing to have the national theater, but it's another thing to have the right people to run it and also sustain it. Now, we can have a national theater and we will be proud to have it, but if it falls into the wrong hands, then it's a waste. I cannot imagine building a national theater and you bring someone who knows nothing about performing arts to run it. It will just go in vain and it wouldn't be sustainable, it wouldn't be beneficiary to the people who deserve it.
And poet Chandogay believes that a national theater will help in building a culture of love for the arts, and there is still a long way to go insofar as Gambians are concerned.
It would have built a culture within the people for appreciation. The people would have had more appreciation for the arts, because now if I stage an event, most people will come because they've seen me on TV, they've met me, and they're like, yeah, he's good, whatever he's doing must be good. But the people don't have this taste and culture for art, right? We like music, we do, but we don't have this culture in the Gambia where you're like, you and your family, like, you know what, next weekend or next Saturday, let's go to the theater and see a movie. Let's go watch a poetry performance. Let's go watch a drama performance. There is a play going on. Nothing. We don't have anything like that, right? So the only thing we do is everybody goes to Tropic, you buy food, you eat, you come back.
The Gambia has a huge task ahead of it in terms of building national structures, the lack of which has had a negative impact on performance in various aspects of our national life. For example, the Gambia has one national stadium and one psychiatric hospital for well over 2 million inhabitants and nothing else to show. Perhaps with the coming of a national theater, the performing industry will be motivated to be more creative and in the process help in placing the Gambia amongst the top destinations for an African cultural experience and at the same time boost the nation's economy. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.